We're recording. Can you pop the chat and one number chat for me, please? Thank you. Oh, we have some chats. Okay. I'm gonna let you manage that. So what we're going to start with is just talking a little bit about stress. Obviously I have the dictionary definition up here on the computer, but tell me about what stress is like for you in real life. And those of you who are on Zoom, feel free to come off of pause, or you can feel free to drop your comments into the chat box and we will keep an eye on those. So what does stress look like in your life? Do you want me to start? I'll break the ice. I have a 15-year-old, 15 and a half year old. What happens when you're 15 and a half? Do what? Life.
They hate life.
Oh,
mostly.
yeah, they're
Or
kind of,
everybody else.
they're grumpy. There are no real answers. Everything is yeah, nothing.
They know
There's
everything.
a lot of that. What else happens specifically when you turn 15 and a half?
You know everything.
You know everything? What's that?
Start driving.
The driving. That was, I have a 15-year-old with a learner's permit. At this given moment in my time, that is the largest stressor in my life, is having to teach this young man who has lost his verbal skills and says nothing and yeah and grunts at me a lot and calls me brah. And I'm trying to teach this maniac how to drive. So that is like my big stressor right now. But I also have the other like aging parents, aging mother-in-law, you know, all of those like regular life things that kind of cause stress. So for me, that's definitely creating tension. And when I get out of the car with my son after a driver's lesson, I feel like I have to wedge my shoulders back down from my ears because the whole time I'm braced for impact. So yes, so that's what stress looks like right now for me in life. What does it look like for you?
Mine's very similar. I have twin 10-year-old girls,
Ooh.
7-year-old boy and a 3-year-old feisty girl. I've been retired out of the military for a few years now, so I just been stay at home. So now trying to go back to school and spend a little everyone.
So definitely you're already 4 kids, 2 of them are teenagers. Teenagers start to get weird. Yeah, and then trying to fold in like, how am I going to do this academic thing and do it well at the same time? Definitely. What else? Ladies, we're talking about what's stressing us out. Like, what does stress look like for us right now? Your stress might be that you're hungry and you came a little bit late and you don't want to be rude and go get pizza, but I invite you to go get pizza and a drink whenever you're ready. So anybody else want to share? If not, that's okay. Yeah.
Generally for me, it just kind of, I get very overwhelmed by a lot of different things happening, and generally my reaction is to shut down and avoid all of them and not do any of them. And that generally makes the stress worse.
Yes.
So it's not a great cycle.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That definitely like, I'm freaking out, so I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not doing anything, which is making me freak out more.
Good old procrastination.
Yes. There's this really, really great, gosh, is it a TED Talk? I think it is a TED Talk on that. Chris, remind me to give that to you so you could share out to the attendees. It's a really good one. So stress is when our body is doing some kind of physiological response based on some kind of stimuli that's happening around us. And that really does manifest in different people differently, depending upon your life experience, your coping skills, depending upon whether or not you experienced trauma as a child. We all kind of experience stress a little bit differently. We'll get you to hop forward. Of course. All right. So when we think about stress, like I said before, like when I experience stress, a lot of times the first thing I think is like, I need to dislodge my shoulders from my ears. I hold a lot of stress very physically. But that's kind of my long-term response to stress. When we think about stress in the short term, what we want to think about is our brain. And how does our brain respond to stressful stimuli? So we all are pretty familiar with the fight or flight concept, right? We hear about that at some point in our life, that we're confronted. We'll go back to the cave person days. The cave person is out hunting and gathering or whatever. A tiger comes along, maybe a saber tooth, and decides it wants to eat the cave person, and the cave person has to figure out, what do I do to respond? Am I going to try to fight the saber tooth? Am I going to try to run from the saber tooth? Worst case scenario, is my body going to just completely freeze and I can't do anything? That freeze part is really important, because it's not just fight or flight. It is fight, flight, or freeze. And those are the options that our brains go through when we experience something really stressful. Now, if we think back about the cave person days, a lot of their stressors were about things that would keep them alive, right? Like their stress is life or death. How am I going to keep surviving stress? Fast forward to this point in our lives. Right now, today, most of us are probably not facing a life or death scenario at this moment. So our stressors have really broadened beyond survival to incorporating a lot of other things, like being a successful student, getting into the career that you want to get into, managing all of your other stuff while that's happening. So what we're going to talk about and what we're going to practice in a little bit is, how do we get there? So when we think about the physiological response, that's okay. Our initial response to stress is the amygdala in our brain. This is our fear center. This is the piece of our brain that is responsible for keeping us alive. When we experience stress, we trigger that amygdala. It likes to dump a lot of hormones into our body because it is preparing us to try to fight the stressor or flee from the stressor. When our amygdala is acting up and it's dumping all of these hormones, it's telling the rest of the brain, forget about everything else, just keep this human being alive, right? That's the reaction that is happening in the moment. When we get a little bit of distance from the moment and we're not saturated with all those hormones, then our brains are kind of like, okay, wait a second, let me figure out, how do all of these pieces fit together? What is the best response? How do I go from here? And we try to rationalize our way out of it. Sometimes we're left with a trauma response. Anybody been in a near miss in a car accident? A lot of us have had, that happens to a lot of us. What happens when you're in a near miss?
Heart rate spikes.
Heart rate spikes, might get dizzy, shaky, burst out into a sweat, erratic breathing, all of these things can happen. Then you might take a little bit of time afterward and you're like, okay, who was wrong there? Did I run the stoplight? No, I didn't run the stoplight. It was the other person that ran the stoplight. Next time, I need to make sure I'm checking both ways because I don't want to get hit again. You know, we kind of go through this like analysis of it. But when things are really, really stressful, they can result in trauma. And so there's kind of this immediate stress response and then these long-term effects of stress. Has anyone ever, and you can share or you cannot, oh wait, we have participation from the chat. Constant daily up and downs of bipolar, anxiety, being on the job and people there who would rather throw insults than work. So yeah, a lot of our stress, you know, sometimes it is affiliated with a lot of various mental health diagnoses, and also is influenced by all the people around us, whether we're surrounded by supportive people or by those who don't care for us all that much. So we want to kind of figure out, like, how do we deal with this? I'm gonna frame this in academic perspective for a minute. You can feel free to share, you do not have to share. Has anybody ever experienced what they would consider test anxiety before? Okay, anybody, we'll let you take one kind of descriptor of what happened to you when you were undergoing that experience.
So are we talking adjectives, lived experiences, what in particular?
Like a one sentence mini description of something you experienced during test anxiety, what it was like for you.
The closest real world comparison I can think of, and unfortunately as someone who has lived through this before, is it's like drowning. You feel inundated with an emotional response that's akin to having a wave wash over you. It's a terrifying feeling, and I really don't wish it on anyone.
It's a really good descriptor. What else? Some of you, some others raise your hand. Does anybody feel comfortable sharing like one experience?
I just feel like my mind kind of goes blank. Like I can be like studying right before the test, and then I'm like, wait, what did I just read?
Mine goes blank. We're going to circle back to that one. What else?
Is similar, just with you kind of start feeling overwhelmed with all the new stuff you're trying to remember and problem recalling information. Just start sweating and not really.
And we've got some participation from Zoom, feeling complete panic and drawing a blank on everything. So I, in graduate school, had to take a statistics class. I'm a pretty math smart person. I got through calculus in high school. So I thought statistics, no biggie. And then I took statistics and I found that that wasn't a math class at all. It was like half philosophy and half physics. I don't know, it did not make any sense to me at all. And it was time for me to take my first graduate school test in this statistics class. And the instructor hands it out and I look at it and it has 2 questions. And I read the first question, I don't know, 85, 90 times. No idea what it's asking me to do. And so the test anxiety that hit me when I was like, I got nothing here, like absolutely nothing. That's a horrible feeling, right? Like I remember having like the mind blank, kind of the feeling like you're drowning, the feeling like I was going to burst into tears at any moment. I also like broke into a sweat. Like I could tell my body was not in good shape and my brain wasn't having it at all. I was done. And so lots of people experience anxiety in different ways. There are some suggestions up here about what people will describe. But one of the important things to keep in mind is like, what is the brain's role in all of this? And earlier I said, you know, when that amygdala gets going and you drop into fight or flight. So when that test lands in front of you, and even though it's a test, your body feels like it's a tiger and dumps all of these hormones and is preparing you to fight, the memory parts of your brain are being understimulated because the memory parts of your brain probably aren't what's going to keep you alive. Like it's the running from the room parts of your brain that will keep you alive. And so there's a definite physical, mental connection there that happens with anxiety. And so one of the goals of this session is to intervene in that process. What we want to do is go into situations that we know might be stressful, that we know might be triggering for us. And we want to plan ahead. How do we get ahead of that? If you can figure out ways to keep your brain from dumping all of that stuff, from preparing you for fight or flight, all of those memory centers are going to work better for you. But learning how to deal with stress is not a like one-time thing. Like you're gonna have this session with me, we're gonna practice something here in a few minutes. And you might feel like, oh, that was really nice and relaxing, and I feel pretty chill right now. But if you don't do it on the regular, you don't train your body how to do these things. So I'm going to give, we're going to work through an activity, but I'm also going to give you some other resources because it's not one size fits all. My hope for you is when you leave this session today, you leave with some tools that you can actually implement and use in your life on the regular, but especially in those super stressful circumstances. And I'm seeing another something else from chat. Somebody hyperventilated once, or they witnessed that happening. And yeah, that's absolutely that heart rate and your breathing most definitely do change there. Okay. So we've talked a little tiny bit about this, but stress can definitely have long-term impacts on our life, right? Like we know stress leads to people having heart attacks. We know stress leads to back problems and muscle problems. Stress can lead to memory issues as well. One of the really interesting things about stress, and this is going to circle back to what you said earlier about things being cyclical, is with our amygdala. The more stress we experience, the more active our amygdala becomes. And so sometimes when we look at children who've come out of traumatic situations, that fight or flight is like a hairpin trigger for them because they have so much experience with the brain dropping into this crisis mode. And what happens is the more active your amygdala becomes, the bigger it becomes, the more equipped it is to keep dumping more and more stress hormones. So it does kind of become cyclical. And for a lot of people, that's why going beyond kind of the exercises that we're going to talk about today and kind of working through some things in various therapeutic settings makes sense as well. So I do want to stress, like we're going to talk about some tips and tools, but these are the tip of the iceberg, right? If you do have significant stressors that are coming out of a mental health diagnosis, please, let this be the first step, but not the last step in addressing.
Yeah, we're not going to replace therapy here, but think of this as like baby's first trauma response.
All right, I'm gonna get you to click forward. Okay, so we're gonna talk about some strategies for dealing with stress in a minute, but you coming into this room today, obviously this is a concern for you, and you might have some experience with trying some different things before that work for you. So share with me, if you would, please, something that you do to take care of yourself, something that you do to address the stressors in your life.
So I usually, I like to drive around a lot. So when I'm really stressed out, I just like go out and drive with music that I like. And I feel like that's something that helps a lot for me.
Music, driving, absolutely. Music is a really good one. Well, I'm gonna talk about that a little bit more in this exercise in a little bit. But that can definitely be a good de-stressor. What other things?
Like, I like to plan my day the night before. It's like I don't like to be like in the morning and don't know what to do. Like
Uh-huh.
that stresses me a lot. So I like to plan my day. And now before I go to sleep, like, okay, I have to do this the next day.
Yes. It's a good one. What other things?
I do my best to try to make some time for myself. I have 4 kids, just like him. So I try to plan some time alone.
Okay. A little mini escape.
Yes.
Definitely.
I generally try to find just mindless tasks where I can also put on music, generally either calm music or for some reason slightly overwhelming music makes me less overwhelmed. And sometimes I just like copy drawings for like poses and stuff from pictures and just mindless tasks like drawing and stuff.
Anybody seen the show Dead to Me?
Yes.
When she gets in the car and she's like jamming out to that thrash metal, I identify with those moments.
Same thing with, I usually try to take a time out of the day, like lay my youngest down for a nap, the other ones are at school. I'll go to the basement and like try to work out or go and walk and then have music like blaring this.
Okay, we're a musical group here.
Yes.
This is really good. A couple of people from chat, breathing exercises, gardening, trying to get out for a walk, writing a story, not necessarily something related to the stress. Somebody says list it all out. Anybody ever journal? Yeah. Sometimes that's a strategy that works for people. It always felt like work to me, was never something that I felt was all that helpful, but letter writing sometimes has been helpful for me. Even if I don't send the letter, sometimes writing the letter and burning the letter helps me to get the ick out. So that's another strategy. So self-care really does manifest in a lot of ways. A couple of things I'll point out. Exercise is really good for stress because it changes the dynamic of what your brain, what hormones your brain is dripping into your body. Problem is a lot of folks, I'll count myself as that, the last thing I want to do when I'm stressed is to go do something stressful like work out. But trying to find a balance of, what you can do, that definitely makes a difference. So, I think, let me see the next screen real quick. Okay, so we're going to talk about some strategies, for a minute. And in just a minute, my friend here online who likes to do some breathing exercises is going to get the chance to experience some of those breathing exercises. But before we do, just want to talk about a couple of different strategies for how to deal with stress when we're talking about like the known stressor. So you have to go to the dentist. What can you do to have less anxiety about it? You have the big midterm coming up. What can you do to have less anxiety about it? What can you do to stop your brain's crisis response? So a couple of different things. There are probably a billion different strategies for how to do this. We're not going to go through a billion, but I am going to give you a bunch of resources at the end of different apps and different places that you can reach out for some of these things. What I will share is we'll talk about 3 different types of exercises. The first one is a very super easy and short visualization. So everybody knows what a stop sign looks like, right? It's big, it's red, it's an octagon, it has white letters. We know what the font is, like we know a stop sign pretty well. So one of the strategies that can work, and this is a good one for obsessive thinking. Anybody like ever laying in the bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and thinking I need to get sleep, but I've got that test tomorrow and I'm not sure that I've studied enough, but if I don't get any sleep, I'm never gonna do well on the test, but oh my gosh, I cannot remember the 30 muscles in the legs. What am I gonna do in A&P? And all of that time you should be asleep, right? So some of that obsessive thinking stuff. One of the most simple techniques to deal with that is to visualize a stop sign. Right? You're having all of these thoughts and you say, I'm done with that. I'm gonna have the stop sign. I'm gonna make a right turn into thinking about kittens, or a left turn into thinking about like that time I went paragliding, but I'm not gonna keep thinking about the stupid test. And every time the thoughts of this test come up, once again, bring up your stop sign. That works for some people. It's simple, it's easy, you can implement it quickly. You can do it repetitively. That's a good one for some people. Well, for whatever reason, I need my visualizations to be more elaborate. So when I have the visual, that obsessive thinking stuff, I create a visual of myself being on the beach. And I have a pirate's chest in front of me. This pirate's chest is very detailed. It's old, it's worn out. The iron on it is looking pretty weathered and it's had better days. And there's a skeleton key padlock on it. And like I'm memorizing the details of this pirate's chest. And I walk over to it and I turn the key and I open the lock and I flip open the lid. And then I visualize myself standing over the trunk, and I go like this and fling the thoughts out of my head into the trunk, and then really quickly I slam the lid and I lock it back. And then what happens next is very important to me, because I have this key and I have this trunk full of crap, right? And I need to decide, what do I do with it? So if it's a situation over which I have no control, I can't change, nothing I do is going to change whatever happens next. I take the key and I chuck it into the ocean. If the situation is something that I can do something about, I just don't need to think about what I'm going to do about it at 2 o'clock in the morning. I put the key in my pocket, and that gives me permission to, in the morning, get up, take the key out of my pocket, and let the thoughts back out and deal with it then. Some nights, I can throw the thoughts into the trunk and I'm done. Other nights, the trunk keeps getting busted open and I have to keep sticking the thoughts in the trunk. But it is something that I practice regularly enough that when I need to rely on it, I can drop right into that and start sticking my thoughts in the trunk again. Another exercise, all the time. Another exercise is a physical exercise. So I wear my shoulders like earrings sometimes, and I hold all kinds of tension in weird places in my body. So one of the techniques that is helpful to me is to lay in the bed in dead man's pose like this, and I start at my toes. And I tense up my toes as tight as I can get them for 3 seconds, and then I release. And then I clench my feet as tight as I can clench my feet for 3 seconds, and I release. And I do my feet in funny ways to kind of tense up my ankles and release. And I work my way from my feet up to my chest, then my fingertips to my shoulders, and then my neck. And I always end with that, where I squeeze my face up as much as I can and I release. It's a really good exercise for calming your body, for calming your nervous system. It's also a really good exercise to know, like, what do I need to pay attention to? Because sometimes when I tense like this and I try to release, nothing wants to release. So I know, like, I need to do something about that. I need to move my shoulders. I need to like go do some hip mobility exercises, or, you know, I need to really stretch out my legs. Like, it does tell me some things about my body things that I could physically do to make things better. And so that's a good exercise to go through. Has anybody ever taken a yoga class that teaches any kind of breathing or a meditation class before? Okay, this is really, really helpful to take something that teaches you different breathing strategies. So with the breathing strategies, there are different types of breathing that are designed to kind of get at different goals. But there are some great deep breathing exercises that are really good at changing the dynamics within your body. Years ago, probably in the 90s, there was this big movement on biofeedback. And you don't hear that label thrown around anymore, but does anybody know what biofeedback is? Okay, it's this idea of identifying an issue with your body and then making a change, not like a medicine change, but like a change in how you are physically or how you are emotionally in order to deal with that issue. So a really common one is high blood pressure. High blood pressure is very related to stress. And it's hard when you have it, it's hard to get rid of it. It's hard to control it, except with medications. But there's been a lot of research that shows that people with high blood pressure who meditate 20 minutes a day will have substantial decreases in their blood pressure. If they're consistent about it, it can replace medication. It's hard to be consistent about meditating 20 minutes a day. But if you can achieve it, you can actually physically change what your body structure is doing and how it's reacting. So deep breathing is really an important tool to use, an important skill to learn. And again, we'll talk about some apps that we can use at the end to address that. But what I want to do is do a visualization exercise. And someone from Zoom land has said their biggest stress reliever is doing some grounding exercises. And I think this one is somewhat similar to grounding exercises. So Thomas, would you please cut out all the lights for me? Of course. We can leave the monitor on, but everything else. All right, this is the moment in time where I say I'm gonna make it weird, right? We're all gonna go with the flow. If you don't mind, cut that one out as well. We're all gonna go with the flow for a few minutes while I make it weird, and we're gonna do a visualization exercise together. So for those of us in the classroom, not the ideal scenario, around all these people that you don't know for me to be like, close your eyes and visualize, but I'm gonna ask you to bear with me. For those of you who are doing this at home or in the privacy of your own car, try to mimic as best you can what we're doing here, but you might find that if you do this laying down, maybe it's more comfortable for you, or if you're in your car seat, lean your car seat back some. But we're in these weird institutional chairs, so we're going to do the kind of best case scenario with this. So, all right, I'm going to kind of lead you into this, but while I'm leading you in, what I want you to think about is a time and a place in your life where you can remember being as calm and peaceful as you've ever been. It has to be a place that you've been, as much as I want to imagine I'm on the shore of St. Martin right now. I've never actually been there. So that where you want to be doesn't work. It has to be someplace that you have physically been where you remember feeling peaceful and calm. All right, so while you're kind of pondering on that, we're going to do a couple of things to kind of get us started. So I'm going to get everybody to kind of move to the end of your seat, to the edge of your seat, and we're going to do some posture correction here for a minute. we're just a couple of times, I'm gonna have you like try to squeeze your ears with your shoulders and then drop. To see if we can release the place where most of us hold the most tension. So up to your ears and squeeze, and then drop. And then again. And drop. And one more time. Okay. Now, I want you to try to squeeze your shoulder blades like you're trying to make the inside of your shoulder blades touch each other. So kind of this number, and then release. And one more time. And release. I don't know about y'all, but I got some cracking and popping going there. Okay. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do a couple of deep breaths. We're not gonna do a ton of this because if you're not doing it on the regular, it can make you feel a little bit lightheaded. So if it starts to make you lightheaded, you can kind of bail on that for a minute. But what I want you to do is do some real good deep belly breathing. So when you do belly breathing, you put your hand on your stomach. And when you breathe in, you want to feel your stomach expand. And when you breathe out, you want to feel it retract. That's when you know you're doing it right. When we breathe just as normal human beings, we are not even close to using the capacity of our lungs. And what that means is the bottom parts of our lungs that are not getting exercised, except maybe when we yawn, we breathe deeper. It's not getting a whole lot of fresh oxygen in and getting the like toxic stuff out. So that's kind of our goal, is to breathe in slowly to the count of 4 and then breathe out slowly to the count of 4 with our belly breathing. So we're going to do that 3 times. If you feel lightheaded, you can stop ahead of time. So, all right, breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. In. And out. So think about how that feels, because periodically I'm going to ask you to take one of those good deep belly breaths and release it as we go through this activity. So we're going to go on and get started. I'm going to ask everybody to close your eyes, and I'm going to close my eyes too so that I'm not looking at you. And what I want us to do is go back in our minds to that place where we felt calm and relaxed and at peace. And as we're taking ourselves back in our mind's eye, I want you to, in your head, look around, really pay attention. Think about the colors that you're seeing, the textures. Are there people nearby? Are you all alone? Look at the things that are close to you. And then bring your gaze to the things that are in the distance. While you're looking around, pay attention to the details. Try to remember as many details as you can as you're looking. While you're looking around, take a good deep breath in and exhale. While you're still looking around, bring your attention to the sounds that you hear. Remember what it sounds like to be in this place. Are you hearing the sounds of nature, sounds of people, music, traffic? Keep looking around, remembering being in this place. Keep listening drawing up every detail that you can remember. I want you to think about what it smells like. Do you smell the smell of ocean water, the smell of woods, the smell of food? Take a good deep breath in and out. Keep tying those memories together, remembering what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it smells like. Bring your attention to your body. Is your body feeling relaxed being back in this place? Are you feeling tension anywhere in your neck or shoulders or in your back? If you are, take a deep breath and imagine that stress is rolling out of your body and dripping to the floor. Think about your hips, your legs, your knees, your feet. If you're finding tension there, take another deep breath and let that tension ooze out of you. And while you're thinking about this place, do you remember any taste associated? Did you eat something or drink something? Can you remember what it tasted like? Was it hot or cold? Was it spicy or mild? Remember the flavors that you associate with being here. Visualize yourself taking a drink or taking a bite. Bring your attention to your arms, your hands. Are you holding any tension there? If you are, take a good deep breath and release it. And bring your attention to your body. What does your body feel like being back in this place? Are you relaxed? Are you sitting, standing, lying down? Is your skin warm or cold? Is the air still? Is there a breeze? Are you dry? Are you wet? And as you're thinking about your body, try to tie all the details of that memory together. What it looks like and sounds like and smells like, how that makes your body feel. Memories of the food and drinks you've enjoyed. And as you're thinking about that, take a good deep breath in and out. In and out. And as you're ready, feel free to leave this memory. Come back into the room and open your eyes when you're ready. How was that? Anybody feeling really sleepy right now? Anybody feel like that was super hard to kind of stay in that moment because your brain wanted to like figure out your grocery list? No? Nobody here struggled? A little bit? Yeah. So this is my personal favorite visualization. I like it because When we build a memory in our brain, we're building that memory based upon our senses, how we experienced it. And so it can be really powerful to be able to go back in your mind and re-experience that based upon those memories. I like it because the fact that it is tied to our memories can make it a little bit easier to stay in the moment than some of the other visualization exercises that I've tried before. But as I said before, this is one of a million different options for meditating or visualizing or breathing exercises. So there are a ton of other ones. Go forward for me. Actually, go two more slides. All right, there. We'll go back to that in a minute. I have up here a list of the different apps that are out there. There are probably more. These are some of the most common apps that are out there that you can put on your phone. Some of these are available for free. Some of these are subscription based. Some of them have both options. The one in the middle, Insight Timer, is the one that I like. It has a tremendous number of free things available. They do have like a subscription like plus package or something. I've never felt the need to purchase the subscription. When you're learning how to meditate, when you're learning how to try different breathing strategies, it oftentimes is a lot easier to have somebody walk you through it than it is to try to get yourself to kind of stay in the moment and then remember, okay, what's the next thing that I'm supposed to do? So I would recommend, if you haven't already, try one of these. There are all kinds of things. You can go like that Insight Timer. If you have a headache one day, you can search headache and you can look at different activities that can help you release the headache. Need help sleeping? Go to the sleep options that are there. You want to like listen to some calming like spa music? It's available. So there are a lot of different things that might work for a lot of different types of people. The biggest takeaway that I hope you will take with you today is these skills are so helpful in terms of breaking that connection of stress, hormone dump, memory issues. The important thing though is you have to become skilled in it. If you only do these meditations in that moment where you're leading into a super stressful period, you're not going to be very skilled at keeping yourself in the moment. It's something that if you kind of build it into your daily life, even if it's 10 or 20 minutes, building that into your daily life helps you in those moments where I'm going into a classroom in 5 minutes, I'm going to have to take this test, it's going to be very stressful and I'm overwhelmed. Then you can like sit in your car for a few minutes before you come into the building and do one of these exercises, or slide into the restroom and do one, or try to find an empty classroom and just take a moment to walk through one of these exercises. If you are sitting in the class and the instructor puts the test down in front of you and you're feeling like that start to happen, you can take a moment right there, close your eyes, walk yourself through a visualization real quick, or do some deep breathing real quick. The key is become skilled at it in everyday life so that you can be a pro at it when the real stress hits and you can kind of fall into it and try to break that cycle. All of these are things that are designed to do that. Now, if you will go back to. Okay. Last thing I want to share is about Timely Care. Timely Care is our virtual mental health program that the college makes available for free for students. Timely Care has a lot of different services. The most commonly used services for our students is Talk Now. Talk Now is sort of like a hotline, except it's video based. And whereas most hotlines are staffed by trained volunteers, Talk Now is staffed by licensed clinicians. So you get a different level of care when you call. The college will also pay for up to 3 scheduled counseling visits through Timely Care. You are welcome to continue that relationship with your provider if you like. They do take insurance and private pay. And the pay for the service is significantly less expensive than most providers in our area. So there is an option to continue beyond the 3 free if you want to do that. Click forward one. There you go. The one thing I did want to share is they do have special resources. I think they call them journeys or paths for different things: depression, anxiety, relationship issues. So there is some specialized information and resources available for those kinds of issues through Timely Care. The best way to access it is download the app on your phone, log into it using your My Laurel Ridge login credentials, so your email and your password that you use to get into My Laurel Ridge, and it's there for you. They have you do like a quick less than 5 minutes kind of setup thing, like you do with most apps. And then from that point on, you have access at your fingertips to all of the services that they provide. So I would definitely recommend looking into that as well, especially if you know that you're struggling with things beyond what some different visualizations and meditations will help with. If you're really struggling with anxiety, if you're really struggling with feelings of depression or feelings of mania, or anything else, like Timely Care is a great place to start. It might not be the end all be all, but to kind of get you on a good path, I would recommend them. See, I want to check chat real quick. Okay, grounding exercises that get you attached or get you in touch with your actual surroundings, using the senses the same way. So yeah, no, one thing with a lot of anxiety is like to ground yourself in the moment, and what are 5 things you can see or touch, and kind of going through that process of like getting back into the here and now. We're out of time, but I can hang around for a few minutes and take questions or thoughts. It looks like there's plenty of pizza left, so if you haven't grabbed a bite to eat, please feel free to do so. And I will ask my friends in the back, Chris and Angie, if they wouldn't mind sharing out with you guys. I will send that TED Talk to all of you through them, because it is a really, really good TED Talk about how procrastination is a lot bigger than what we think of as procrastination, and how that ties into anxiety and things. So I will share that one out. Any questions? Okay, I do see a question about the therapy resource that I mentioned. So it is Timely Care. If you go to timelycare.com/VCCS, like Virginia Community College System, that will take you there. You can also just log into your My Laurel Ridge account, and one of the buttons that you have beyond your login is Timely Care. That's another way to access that resource. Good question. Any other questions? Thank you all for coming out today. Welcome to Laurel Ridge. I look forward to seeing you. Hopefully you will join me for donuts with the dean the first week that classes start. I forget what day we decided that would be. I think the Thursday of the first week of class, if you're around. We'll have some donuts together. And later in the semester, you will have the opportunity and receive an invitation to participate in Pizza with the President. Great time to kind of chat with her about what your experiences have been and what you would love to see for the college. And then I think a little after that, dessert with the dean. You can see there's a theme here, we feed you, where we can kind of come together and enjoy some good munchies and talk again about like your experiences, what you would like to see, give us feedback. We also give you a chance to give some shout outs and kudos to people who are like knocking it out of the park, because we really believe in kind of passing that that goodness along to folks. So keep your eye on your email every Monday. Leo the Lion sends a weekly update about things going on campus. We hope that you will find a lot of ways to get involved and get engaged. There's something for everybody. And building good connections on campus is a great way to deal with the stressors that come from being a college student. So it was great to see you all. Just checking one more time. Looks like we're good on chat. Have a wonderful afternoon.